anything other than anything that gets near them goes in. It's not necessarily sucking it in. It's just, it's a point. I forget the scientific name for it, but it's in the black hole is where all the gravity is.
I see.
And so if you go into it, then you become subjected to it. But it doesn't necessarily suck you in.
Right.
Because, what's his name? Neil. Oh, God, that scientist. I like him so much. Why can't I think of his name? I want to say Neil Patrick Harris, and I know that's not it. Neil Patrick Harris was Doogie Howser and, like, every creepy guy in every movie and TV show ever. He was on How I Met Your Mother. He was in the new Baudelaire show on Netflix. Yeah.
Okay, I know Doogie Howser. Yes, I know.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's who I was thinking of.
Okay.
That guy.
Oh, sorry, the cat breathed on me.
Yeah, he do have a case of mouse breath, don't he?
He is way worse than Brownie.
Oh, God.
So, Neil deGrasse Tyson once explained what happens to you when you go into a black hole. And there's this thing that happens to you called spaghettification that I don't want to ever do, but it sounds amazing. It's like your entire body gets stretched like spaghetti, and you essentially become long, ropey limbs. Preferably, hopefully you're dead by that point.
Gosh, I hope so.
Because if you're not, that's going to be sad.
Well, Krista, do you have any more facts to regale us with?
Nope, that was my plus one.
Awesome. Then I think we should, before we get going, play a promo for our friends over at Drunk Theory.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because they finally got them done, so
Yay!
Might as well. Thanks to Kara, Kelly, Matt, and Ryan, Drunk Theory. Hear them talk about themselves.
In a world, there was one podcast that made all others look like silly little part-time, half-baked ideas that should have been thrown in the trash can after being written down. That's a super long-winded way of saying that Drunk Theory Podcast is the best-kept secret out there right now. They're a bunch of idiots talking about conspiracy theories, and when these four come together, they have the capability to solve just about any question coming their way. But keep in mind, they're idiots, so sometimes they won't have the answer. But we guarantee you'll end up laughing so hard you cry or urinate in your pants. I don't make the rules here. So let Matthew, Kara, Kelly, and Ryan give you everything you never know you needed, and more. Only on Drunk Theory Podcast. Available on all major streaming platforms. More conspiracies coming soon.
Okay. Those people are fun, even if they're drunks. Well, that's part of what makes them fun. But you know what I mean.
You know, admitting you have a problem is the first step to recovery, so...
Well, I don't have...
Hopefully they keep it at just step one.
Exactly. So, what do we...
We love you, Kara, guys. We love y'all.
We love you very much. So... Let's talk the basics of Lake Baikal.
I hear it's big.
It is big. Lake Baikal is a rift lake located in Siberia, Russia, between Irkutsk Oblast to the northwest.
God bless you.
And the Buryat Republic to the southeast.
Wow, maybe you should get checked out.
I know, right? It is the world's largest freshwater lake by volume, containing 22 to 23% of the world's fresh water.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of water.
It contains more water than all the Great Lakes combined. Somewhere,
it would be the Greater Lake.
I guess so. Somewhere, somebody is a super patriot and is upset. Them damn Ruskies, how do they have a bigger lake than us?
Okay, then.
It has a maximum depth of over 1,600 meters, which is 5,300 feet. It is the world's deepest lake, among the world's clearest lakes. On average, you can see as deep as 25 meters.
Ding.
Which you think a meter is 2.2 feet. if I remembered my conversion correctly.
Good for you. I'm not.
Which means you're seeing 60 feet deep into that water on an average day. Oh, and it's also 25 to 30 million years old, so it is the oldest lake.
Wow. You really did your research on this one, honey. Way to go.
Yeah, I tried. It is the 7th largest lake by surface area, which at 12,248 square miles is slightly bigger than Belgium.
That's his favorite fact about this place this week. I just want everybody to know. He has told me 15 times this week that this lake is bigger than Belgium. So, people in Belgium, I just want you to know, I'm sorry he has it out for you. It's nothing personal. He just likes big bodies of water, apparently.
It's not like I said I'm going to drown Belgium in the lake. I'm just saying it would fit. I mean, lots of things would fit in lots of bodies of water. I don't go and stuck them there. If it's big enough, I just go, wow, that's kind of cool. Now, since it is a rift lake growing in a rift valley, the rift continues to open up. So it grows at roughly a quarter inch a year, which doesn't sound like much, but...
But, what did you say? It was 200,000 years old or something?
No, like 20 to 30 million.
Oh, excuse me. So, yeah, over 20 to 30 million at a quarter an inch. Yeah, that's a bit... That's a lot.
Now... Lake Baikal is rich in biodiversity, hosting over 1,000 species of plants and over 2,500 species of animals, many of whom are native to and only found in the area. Among the species of animals found here include the Baikal seal, the Eurasian brown bear, the Eurasian wolf, the Eurasian red fox, the sable, the stoat, the elk, the Siberian red deer, reindeer, the Siberian roe deer, Siberian musk deer, wild boar, red squirrel, the Siberian chipmunk, the marmot, the lemming, and the alpine hare.
Okay, but they aren't living in the lake, right? They're around the lake area.
Yeah, they're in the area.
Because, if there's a bunch of deer doing the backstroke in the lake, no wonder it's got to be so big.
The place was also home to the wisent, which is the Eurasian water buffalo, until it went extinct. Furthermore, there are plenty of birds, fish, invertebrates, and crustaceans.
Wow.
These include several species of grayling, which is a kind of fish, and it's what people fish for in the lake, and a species of sturgeon, which are huge fish.
Yes.
So big. And they're like the aquatic version of owls, in that whenever there's a sighting of like a Nessie kind of monster, people go, well, it's a sturgeon.
I see. Must have been a sturgeon, kind of like people claim Mothman was owls.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Maybe it's an owl riding a sturgeon. We don't know, but yeah.
Or an owl carrying off a sturgeon for a really big family meal. Because, you got to bring tons of food to that stuff.
Exactly.
Especially when you have extended cousins, and we don't have that problem, but we feel for you. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
It's okay. Now, the area is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
I'll take your word for it.
And it is also home to the Buryat peoples, which are...
Again, you really ought to get that looked at.
Well, the Buryat people are a tribal group that's sort of evolving out of the tribalness. They're inhabiting cities and whatnot, but they raise camel, they raise horses. They're still very wild.
I see. Right.
So that is kind of the area that the lake is in, to tell you a little bit about that.
So I'm a little confused because you may need to clarify this for me. So in my brain, like the only thing I think of when I think of Siberia is, I used to hear about them sending prisoners to Siberia and it being cold all the time. So is this lake frozen over like half the year, or am I totally off base on my Russian geography, which is totally possible because geography was a really bad subject for me.
There are parts of Siberia that are frozen over most of the year.
Okay.
This is not that part.
Okay, see, I learned something new right now.
This has a summer, and actually summer and winter both are tourist seasons for this lake.
Gotcha.
And we'll get into that. But yes, so Siberia was the place where they sent dissidents and those who spoke out against the Russian leaders back in the bad old days of Russia.
I see. Okay. Thanks for straightening me out. I appreciate that.
But this lake is not in that area.
Okay, cool.
Probably because the Buryat peoples live there and they wouldn't be real responsive to the government going, okay, you leave these people alone because they're prisoners of the state. The Buryat peoples would be like, but they're people, so they can come help us fish or whatever. So the Russian government probably put them a little deeper in Siberia so they couldn't get help.
Well, that makes sense because, it's like putting a toddler in timeout in the middle of the playroom. You just can't. Doesn't work that way.
Right. So, let's talk about the history of the area. It has a long history of human habitation, not in the lake itself, but obviously around it.
Okay.
An example of early humanity, the Ma'atlaboi, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, was found near here. The area is warred over by the Chinese, who dubbed Lake Baikal as one of the four seas. The Chinese fought several battles in the area when they controlled the region, and many of these initiatives were launched against the local tribes. Eventually, the Russians explored and took over the area as they did all of Siberia. Now, lately, the lake has become popular with tourists who use it as a destination for outdoor activities like hiking, skating, or driving over it to look at the crystal clear ice that forms there to encounter the Lake Baikal seals. This lake, when it does freeze, it freezes to a crazy depth, like 6 feet or more.
See? So it does freeze some.
Oh, it does freeze some, yeah. It's not salt water. It's fresh water, so it will freeze. But it freezes to a crazy depth.
Right.
It is also a popular place among those who travel to the area during the summer months to watch its wildlife and to hike.
Mm-hmm.
There is also beginning to be a significant amount of UFO tourism.
I see. Which is where we're
heading, yes.
Yes. Gotcha.
So that is the lake and its history as far as we know it. Now, the Buryat people have talked about lights over the lake for centuries. And there are other peoples that have lived in the region that have mentioned the same thing. So whatever is there has been there for quite a while. Now, before we get too into that, I say we take a moment for a word from our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to talk about UFOs.
Sure.
And USOs, which are different.
I thought USO was the people who went and entertained the troops. Am I confused?
You are confused, because yes, that is the USO, but UFOs are unidentified flying objects. Well, they also have USOs, unidentified submerged objects, and often they can interchange.
I see.
Because, and that is one of the things that Russia announced, is that 90% of sightings are near bodies of water.
I see. So in that, you know what, I'm going to let it go. Our sponsors deserve their time before I get off on another tangent. So let's listen to the sponsors.
Yep. All right. So, word from our sponsors. Take it away. Alrighty then.
I feel sponsored.
So do I.
Me too!
So, before the break, we were talking about USOs.
Right.
And I was a little confused for anybody